Far below the surface of the Earth, where the tectonic plates grind in eternal oblivion and sunlight has never kissed stone, exists a labyrinth known only to a select few, Lab Omega 7. From above, the location appears desolate, an unassuming wasteland of rock and dirt, dotted with rusted antennae and half-buried concrete bunkers, long abandoned to the eyes of the public. But beneath, it pulses with life, artificial, cold, calculated. Endless corridors stretch like the arteries of some mechanical beast. Pipes exhale clouds of supercooled gas. Walls hum with electromagnetic fields designed to suppress entities that should not exist. Behind blast-proof doors, in chambers lined with lead and vibranium alloys, rests Kael. Or rather, Subject X-17, the culmination of 42 years of forbidden genetic experimentation. Suspended in a cylindrical vat of luminous emerald fluid, Kael's body hovers in a perfect equilibrium of sedation and preservation. His skin is a mosaic of obsidian-black scales laced with iridescent green patterns, subtly shifting as bioelectric currents surge through him. His face retains a human shape, strong jawline, high cheekbones, but with subtle alien distortions. His pupils are vertical slits that remain closed in enforced sleep. Along his spine, bone ridges protrude like the armor plates of some prehistoric predator. His hands end in retractable claws, sharp enough to shear titanium. But what the scientists at Omega 7 fear most is not his strength. It is his mind. Kael was designed to be the perfect infiltration weapon, a hybrid of human adaptability and reptilian resilience. Enhanced with neural quantum processors, he was meant to learn, adapt, evolve beyond any prediction. But something went wrong. Or perhaps, right. Inside the vat, synapses flicker. A memory fights to surface. A voice, a whisper from his human past. Kael, you are more than what they made you. Suddenly, the lights dim. A tremor runs through the facility. Somewhere, a generator fails. Red emergency lights flare, throwing the corridor into stroboscopic chaos. Warning: biocontainment failure. Subject X-17 neural barrier compromised. Kael's eyes snap open. His consciousness slams into him like a tsunami. Sensory overload. He feels every molecule in the fluid, every vibration in the reinforced glass, every thermal pulse from the guards pacing 2 corridors away. Heartbeat, muscle contraction, flex. His claws extend. The fluid begins to bubble as his bioelectric field surges past safe parameters. Beep, beep, beep. Containment alarms scream. Robotic arms descend from the ceiling, deploying neural suppressants, hypersonic dissonators, and plasma restraints. Too late. With a deafening tchoam, Kael punches forward. Cracks spiderweb across the glass. A second strike turns cracks into fractures. A third shatters the entire pod into an explosion of fluid and shards. Kael collapses to one knee, naked, gasping. Muscles ripple under scaled skin. His body feels heavier, denser, but more real than any dream. Engage sedation units. A voice barks over comms. 3 guards rush in, clad in exosuits. They unleash arcs of blue lightning, neural disruptors designed to down elephants. Kael dodges sideways with inhuman speed. One swipe, schlack, severs the left arm of the nearest guard. Sparks erupt as hydraulics fail. Kael pivots, grabs the second by the throat, and hurls him against a reinforced bulkhead. The impact leaves a dent. The third fires a magnetic slug. The round strikes Kael in the shoulder, spinning him. Bone cracks. Pain floods him, but pain is an old friend. With a feral roar, Kael lunges. His tail, a genetic modification from monitor lizard DNA, lashes out, sweeping the guard's legs and sending him sprawling. A brutal stomp collapses the soldier's chest plate. Blood. Smoke. Sparks. Instinct takes over. Escape. 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 His enhanced vision maps the facility. He sees thermal signatures through walls. Electrical schematics overlay his retina. A service duct, 2 floors up, leads to the primary ventilation shaft. From there, the surface. Freedom. But as he moves, internal sensors ping. Heartbeat anomaly detected. His human DNA is destabilizing. The balance is off. Prolonged isolation. No mate. No bond. He grimaces. He'll deal with it later. Right now, he needs to survive. Kael navigates vertical shafts, squeezing between steel girders, claws digging into concrete. Below, the cacophony of pursuit echoes, metal boots, drone engines, barking orders. Suddenly, whir! A rotary drone descends from an overhead vent. Twin railguns spin to life. Kael drops, narrowly avoiding a barrage of tungsten slugs. He grabs a loose cable, swings, and lands atop the drone. With a precise strike, he rips out the AI core. The machine sputters and crashes. Ahead, a reinforced blast door seals the exit. Security lasers scan the corridor. Adapt. Kael scans the panel. His mind, augmented with quantum processors, deciphers the encryption in seconds. Fingers fly over the interface. The door hisses open. A gust of real, cold air rushes in. The surface. Stars. Moonlight. But so do floodlights. Helicopters. Tactical teams. Dogs. Drones. Target acquired. Fire at will. Missiles roar. Kael sprints into the forest line as fire blossoms behind him. 4 days, Kael travels, north, always north, sticking to wilderness, avoiding roads. He scavenges clothing from an isolated cabin. Wears a hood, wraps his tail against his leg, disguises his hands in gloves. In towns, people barely glance at him. A strange man, tall, broad, a little odd. But nothing more. At night, though, his body aches. Scales pulse with bioelectric surges. Neural instability flares. His hybrid nature was never meant to function alone. His creators embedded a failsafe. Without forming a biochemical pair bond, his genome collapses into entropy. In simple terms, without a mate, he will die. One evening, in a dusty frontier town near the mountains, Kael feels it. A vibration deep in his bones. A resonance. At a small bookstore, cluttered with UFO literature, conspiracy maps, and strange artifacts, he sees her. Lira. Petite, sharp-eyed, wild dark hair, dressed in denim and leather. She debates animatedly with an old man about ley lines and electromagnetic anomalies. But what Kael sees is more. Her aura flickers with quantum distortions. Her DNA hums with frequencies no human should carry. She's not fully human. Maybe never was. And when their eyes meet, her hazel gaze into his slit-pupilled stare, something ancient ignites. Connection. But before he can speak, a black SUV screeches to a halt. Agents pour out. Veil insignias glint under headlights. X-17. Surrender or be terminated. Kael doesn't hesitate. He lunges forward, grabs Lira, and growls. Run. Now. Tires screeched against the cracked asphalt. Black SUVs swerve to a halt, their doors flinging open in unison. Out spilled men clad in tactical armor, faces hidden behind obsidian helmets that gleamed coldly under the flickering neon lights. Their rifles, outfitted with magnetic accelerators and sonic disruptors, were already primed. Visual confirmed. Subject X-17 engaged with civilian. Omega Protocol initiated. A mechanical voice barked through encrypted comms. Kael did not hesitate. Instinct overrode thought, a synthesis of reptilian precision and human desperation. He lunged forward, scooping Lira into his arms as though she weighed nothing more than a whisper, and burst into the nearest alleyway like a bullet leaving a chamber. "Oi! What the hell?" Lira gasped, struggling reflexively, but there was no time for explanations. Tomb! A bolt of plasma detonated behind them, shattering pavement into molten slag. "Flank them on the right. Move!" Another voice ordered as lasers sliced through the smoke. Kael ran with terrifying speed. His feet barely touched the ground, muscles coiling and releasing like hydraulic pistons. His claws, though carefully sheathed to avoid harming her, flexed with every stride. Above, drones zipped through the air, their searchlights cutting the darkness into harsh white corridors. Sirens screamed. Engines roared. "Deploy Zeta unit. Cut them off near the canal." Kael's nostrils flared. The scent of ionized water drifted from the east. His internal map, rendered through his bioelectrical senses, painted escape routes in glowing vectors within his mind. But the veil was closing the net. Fast. As they slipped down a narrow corridor, Lira finally found breath enough to shout, "You, what are you?" Kael didn't answer immediately. His mind processed 1,000 calculations per second: trajectory, enemy positioning, structural weaknesses. But as they ducked beneath a shattered overpass, temporarily shielded from line of sight, he finally set her down. His hood fell away. The glow of distant street lamps revealed his face, a strange, compelling blend of man and something other. Angular jaw, high cheekbones, but marbled with jade-black scales that shimmered like liquid metal. His eyes, golden with vertical slits, glowed faintly. "I am not fully human," he said, voice deep, rough, vibrating with a resonance that was almost musical. "I was created, engineered. They made me, and now they want to erase me." Lira staggered back half a step. Her eyes scanned him, the patterns along his jaw, the reptilian ridges down his throat. But it wasn't fear that filled her gaze. It was something else. Recognition. Fascination. I knew it, she whispered, almost to herself. "I always knew something wasn't right. About me, too." Before the meaning of her words could sink in, a shrieking pulse echoed through the air, a sonic burst that splintered nearby concrete. Kael shoved her towards a maintenance tunnel. "Move!" Inside the drainage tunnel, they crawled. The air was damp, filled with the acrid sting of ozone and industrial decay. Behind them, the metallic thump of boots. The mechanical were of aerial drones scraping against concrete. Tracking sensors pinged and beeped. "They won't stop," Kael murmured, half to himself. "Who are they?" Lira hissed, her breath catching. "The Veil. An organization that doesn't officially exist. They manipulate governments, control global narratives, bury the truth, and create monsters like me." "Others? Are there others like you?" Kael tensed. His eyes flickered, scanning heat signatures through solid stone. "No," he said at last. "Not like me. Something worse." Before Lira could ask, boom, the ceiling of the tunnel imploded. A mechanical limb burst through, scattering shards of concrete. Descending from the breach came a nightmare of steel and flesh. A hunter-class obsidian, biomechanical and grotesque, limbs plated in tungsten alloy, torso pulsating with organic muscle fused to cybernetics, for arms ending in saw blades, plasma cannons mounted on its shoulders. Its eyes, for crimson orbs, locked onto Kael with algorithmic malice. Target acquired. Initiating termination sequence. Kael's muscles coiled. His body surged with crackling bioelectricity. Lira, run. He launched himself at the beast. Claws raked across metal, carving deep scars into its plating. Sparks flew. The creature retaliated with a piston-powered punch, slamming Kael against the wall. Concrete shattered. Kael rose, wiping blood from his lip, and grinned, sharp, predatory, defiant. You'll need more than that to kill me. The tunnel trembled as the behemoth advanced, each footfall sending violent tremors through the earth. The obsidian hunter, a grotesque amalgam of flesh and machine, loomed over Kael, its quartet of blood-red eyes burning like infernal lanterns in the darkness. Hydraulic pistons hissed, saw blades spun into a blur, and plasma coils on its shoulders began to glow with the heat of a dying star. Primary objective, Subject X-17. Secondary objective, Civilian witness. Kael flexed his claws. His pupils narrowed to slits, focusing, calculating. Every nerve in his genetically enhanced body surged with bioelectric energy. His muscles twitched, not with fear, but anticipation. Lira, run, he snarled without turning. But Lira hesitated. Her instincts screamed at her to flee, yet something in her marrow, something ancient, something not entirely human, tethered her to him in this moment. The hunter struck first. A plasma bolt exploded where Kael had stood a split second before. He darted sideways, rebounding off the tunnel wall, launching himself claws first at the mechanical monstrosity. Slak Chank. His talons bit deep into alloyed plating, sending sparks skittering through the darkness. The machine screeched, a horrid, grinding sound of pain, or corrupted programming. The hunter retaliated with a backhanded strike. Its titanium-knuckled fist connected with Kael's ribcage, sending him hurtling backwards into a pillar. The concrete split like brittle bone. Pain fled, ribs fractured. But Kael was built for endurance far beyond human limits. He staggered, coughed blood, and smiled. That predatory, impossible smile. Is that all you've got? The obsidian's saw blades spun up again, aiming for decapitation. Kael dodged under, claws finding the vulnerable seam beneath the plasma cannon. He plunged his arm deep, electricity surging from his body into the hunter's circuits. The machine convulsed. Warning glyphs flickered across its synthetic skin. Error. Error. System breach. Kael ripped free, tearing out a coil of fiber optic nerves and fuel lines. Liquid fire gushed as the machine staggered. But the hunter wasn't done. With terrifying speed, it deployed a secondary limb, a whip-like appendage tipped with a monomolecular blade. It lashed across Kael's shoulder, slicing scales, flesh, and muscle. Blood splattered. His knees buckled. The hunter loomed. Plasma cannons spun one final time. Target locked. And then, blam, a gunshot. Not the hunter's. Lira. Somehow, against every instinct, she had found a weapon, a discarded Veil rifle. Not designed for humans, its biometric lock should have rejected her. But as her hand closed around the grip, something awakened. The rifle recognized her. Or more precisely, her DNA. A cascade of symbols glowed along the barrel, glyphs in languages not meant for human eyes. The blast hit the hunter square in the optical cluster. One eye burst in a shower of molten glass and circuitry. The behemoth reeled. Kael seized the opening. With a roar that shook the tunnel, he lunged, driving both claws deep into the machine's central processor. Sparks. Flames. The stench of burning lubricant and scorched flesh metal filled the air. Critical failure. Shut down in progress. Kael ripped. The torso split. The hunter collapsed in a heap of shrieking metal and broken machinery, convulsing until it lay still. Silence. Only the ragged breaths of two souls remained. Kael stumbled. Blood poured from his wounds, iridescent and dark. He dropped to one knee, panting. Lira rushed to him without thinking, dropping the weapon. Kael! Oh God, Kael! He looked up at her. His eyes, usually a predatory gold, were dimmer now, softer. Why didn't you run? He rasped. She knelt, pressing her hands against the gash in his shoulder, trying to stem the bleeding despite knowing it was futile. Because I couldn't. Because I think there's something about you. About me. About this. Her voice trembled. And I don't understand it yet. His hand, clawed yet gentle, cupped her cheek. I felt it too. The first moment I saw you. Something shifted between them, a tether forming. Not just biochemical. Not just instinct. Something cosmic. But the moment shattered as Kael's body convulsed. His scales flickered, patterning rapidly, a sign of catastrophic instability in his hybrid genome. No. Lira gasped. Kael collapsed fully, his breathing ragged, his neural circuits overloaded. His body was failing. Without bonding, he gasped. My genome collapses. Lira stared, trembling. A realization hit her, not intellectual, but primal, written into the strands of her DNA. She was the key. She was always the key. The tunnel was silent now. Silent but for the ragged, broken gasps of Kael as his hybrid body convulsed, spasming with unpredictable bioelectric surges. His emerald-black scales flickered chaotically, colors shifting from deep obsidian to iridescent green, then to pale silver, a sign of severe genetic destabilization. His breathing came in short, painful shudders. His claws trembled against the cold concrete. His neural pathways, the delicate web that balanced his human and reptilian DNA, were tearing themselves apart. Lira pressed her hands against his chest, helpless, feeling the electric pulses stinging her palms. No. Stay with me. Don't do this. Kael, don't leave me. He opened his eyes, barely. Those vertical pupils, once sharp as razors, were glassy now, fighting to focus on her face. His voice was barely a whisper. Lira, without the bond, I won't. His sentence trailed off into a convulsion. Her breath caught. Something primal surged inside her. A memory, not hers, but older, deeper, written not in neurons but in genetic memory. An image, no, more than an image. A vision of two figures, one scaled, one soft-skinned, locked in an embrace beneath twin moons. A ritual, an energy exchange. Not mating in the crude biological sense, but something transcendent. A genetic synchronization. Kael's hybrid genome was never meant to exist in isolation. The code required a counterpart, a harmonic resonance from a compatible genetic source. And her blood, as impossible as it seemed, was that source. Kael, her voice trembled, but something in her tone had shifted. No longer just fear, no longer confusion. It was as though a door had opened inside her, and on the other side were echoes of stars, of forgotten worlds, of ancestors whose names had never been spoken on Earth. She cupped his face in both hands. His scales were hot, burning hot, flickering like molten metal. I don't know how, but I can feel it. I am connected to you, she whispered. I've felt it my entire life, the knowing that I was different, that something was waiting for me. And now, her fingers trembled. It's you. Kael's voice was a mere rasp. You have the code. You carry the Starborne gene. Lira felt it, a pulse deep within her sternum. Not a heartbeat, but something else. A harmonic frequency. Her skin tingled. Her vision swam with fractal patterns. Instinct took over. Words that were not words, frequencies, vibrations, rose from her throat. Ishir Valtana, Keshayar Vielith, Sholen Va. The tunnel trembled. A glow emerged between them, not light, but something denser, richer, as though space itself folded inward. Lines of golden energy wove from her fingers into Kael's chest, tracing the fractal paths of his failing neural lattice. His body jolted, his back arched, scales pulsed, bones cracked, then reformed. Neural pathways reknitted, as if guided by unseen hands. Synchronization 42%, 67%, 89%, whispered voices, mechanical or perhaps ancient, echoed in the air. Kael's claws gripped her wrists, not in harm, but as an anchor. His golden eyes flared, burning like stars being born. Then, with a sound like thunder beneath the ocean, a wave of energy exploded outward from their bodies. Dust, concrete, smoke, everything was flung away in a sphere of concussive force. And then, silence. Kael lay there for a moment, panting, staring up at the broken roof of the tunnel. Slowly, with a groan, he rolled onto his side. His body felt whole. No, not merely repaired. Enhanced. Stronger. Faster. More stable. The chaotic flux between his reptilian and human DNA had balanced into a perfect harmonic resonance, a new genetic state that had never existed before. He sat up, looked at Lira, her, who sat cross-legged in front of him, eyes glowing faintly, skin humming with subtle iridescence. "You," he whispered, voice rich, filled with awe and something far deeper. "You are not entirely human. You never were." She touched her chest, feeling the aftershocks of energy rippling through her bones. "I don't understand fully, but I felt it. When we connected, something unlocked, something old." Kael nodded slowly, his reptilian pupils narrowing with focus. "Your blood carries the gene of the Starborne, the ancient ones who seeded this planet, long before humanity's first fire." His claws flexed, his chest rose and fell, taking deep, steady breaths. "I was designed to bond with one like you. My genome was never meant to survive alone." A silence passed between them, charged, intimate, terrifyingly profound. Lira finally asked, voice quiet but steady, "So, what happens now?" Kael stood, towering, his silhouette framed by the broken moonlight. His scales shimmered like living obsidian veined with silver. "Now," he turned, scanning the tunnel. His eyes locked on the distant shadows where movement stirred. "Now, we run. We fight. We survive. Together." And far behind them, deeper in the labyrinth of the earth, alarms flared again. Something else had awakened. But just when he thought things couldn't possibly get any stranger, a truth far more disturbing was about to surface. The deeper he dug, the more twisted the reality became. What exactly were the reptilians hiding from humanity? And most importantly, why? This was no longer just about survival. It was about uncovering secrets that could change everything we know about our existence. You won't believe what happens next. Get ready, because part 2 will take you even deeper into the shadows, where the real nightmare begins.